God is all knowing. Just as fire cannot comprehend what it means to be cold, the all knowing can never experience ignorance. Unless, now, this part, by divine will, self limitation occurs. That's the AI just filling in with the things I'm going to say. But it's pretty much answering it correctly. I wouldn't say divine will, but the unless is, we talked about this last time, unless it can find a way to manifest, right, in a way in which it can be less than all powerful, in a way that it can be ignorant and unknowing. So it has to manifest in a way that is quote unquote less than itself because there's a contradiction going on here. So anytime you have a contradiction in reality, there'll be a split there. So, for example, how can a being be all powerful yet unable to do something? So, right in that moment, there's a split. So, then you'll get a manifestation of that being that is not all powerful and therefore can experience those things and therefore have that kind of knowledge. In the same way as the grandfather paradox, I don't know if anybody here ever heard it, but they ask you the question, if you went back in time, right? Could you go back in time and kill your grandfather? What do y'all think? Anybody can answer that.
Could we kill our grandfather?
Could you go back in time and kill your grandfather? Is that something
Um,
that can happen? Not that you would morally do,
right.
but
I don't think as myself, but as someone else, maybe.
right.
Yeah.
So it gets complicated, right? Tasha, you were going to say something?
No, why would I want to do that? Then I wouldn't exist. I don't understand.
Right. So
What's the
in
point?
philosophy, the problem becomes if I killed my grandfather in the past, I wouldn't exist. But then the next question comes, but if you don't exist, then how did you kill your grandfather? We have an issue here.
Oh
We have a
Lord.
problem, right? We have a bit of a contradiction going on here because I
Okay.
went back in time, I killed my grandfather, but because I did that, my father didn't exist.
Right.
And therefore, I didn't exist. So, how did I go back in the first place to kill my grandfather? There's a giant paradox here. At the moment of a paradox in time, you get a split, right? So, if you were to go back and to do something that did not happen in your timeline, you would actually split into another timeline.
Virgin
Um,
evolution.
Sure, but you shouldn't. It's someone else's timeline you made, right? So nobody should do this. But I'm just saying, if you go back and you killed your grandfather, and that you have just entered a timeline where you don't exist, right?
Yeah.
And so now there's no paradox. So
Right.
it's very similar in this way. As soon as you have an all-powerful being that cannot do something, well, that can't happen. So there's a split there. Now you're going to have a version of that being that is not all-powerful that can do those things. And now this is more, now I'm going to more the philosophy of order outside of Western philosophy and these games that we play in Western philosophy. So the supreme power, what then is the most powerful being, right? What is all powerful? What is everywhere? What is all knowing? What is that would be reality existence itself, being, right? It's everywhere. It's all things. It's all powerful. What can be more powerful than existence itself? What can be without existence, nothing could ever be. Non-being is not a true option. So the antithesis to existence literally is nothing. Think about it. The opposite of to exist is to not exist. But you can't not exist. Because if you were to not exist, that would be some form of existing. So it's not even a thing. No thing, nothing. It's not there. It cannot be. It's just a play on words. It's like a merry bachelor, right? A circled square. To say nothing is just a word that we can play with. It's not actually something that we can experience, or it would be something. It's not actually something that can be, then it would be, right? And so existence, right, is so powerful that it literally is outside of the norms of most things. Everything normally has an antithesis. Everything normally has something equal that can defy it, that can beat it, that is opposed to it. Existence is very unique in this way, that the thing that is opposing to it is literally something that cannot be, right? So
Yeah.
it gets really deep. Then existence reigns supreme. By its very essence, its spirit demands to be everything. It is what it is, right? Eternally and absolutely, we all say that. It is what it is. That is the ultimate. That is so interesting. It's a way to submit to things. It's a way to submit to being. It is what it is. When crazy things are happening in your life, things are going on, man, it is what it is. Right? It's the ultimate submission. That thing exists. It's being. There's nothing I can do about that. And so moving forward, so some people would define as pantheism and animism. I don't like defining these, but I'm going to give you these things because it's important to know the terminology, and then you can go look these things up and have a better understanding. So in pantheism, all things are expressions of one divine whole. I don't like the terminology divine. I'm gonna tell y'all this right now. I would not. I'm gonna explain to y'all why. I don't like the terminology divine. I don't like the terminology supernatural. So you're gonna rarely hear me use them. Now, let me be specific. I'll use divine outside of my arguments. Within my arguments, you won't hear me say divine. So I believe in some sort of divinity, but I try not to use that in my arguments and philosophies because there's an issue here, right? Because now we have to talk about, well, what is divine? What does it mean to be divinity? And then people will go, well, supernatural. And there's an issue with supernatural. Supernatural is a Christian Catholic invention. It literally, prior to them, no one would define their gods as supernatural. They are all natural. They're all a part of nature, right? Only then you get this whole supernatural. So I always argue this is why we know, for example, atheism is a branch off of Christianity because a lot of their arguments are predicated on this notion of a supernatural. Exactly. In animism, though, oh, sorry, I didn't finish. In pantheism, all things expressions of one divine whole. God is the universe, and the universe is God. And animism, right, this is what you'll see most hunter-gatherers believe in. Every rock, tree, river, and creature is imbued with a living spirit. Okay, so that's literally what I tell people. Everything has a spirit that precedes it. Together, these perspectives reveal that divinity is both the totality and the individuality of all things. So that, in other words, they're putting divinity there. That's the AI. Being, existence is both the totality and the individuality of all things. All right. The physical and spiritual. Before you were one physical being, you were part of the undifferentiated whole. Matter and spirit intertwined. From that unity, you became a particular expression of the universal spirit formed through the womb. Thus, they're putting the divine declares. I didn't say that. This is what I said. Thus, God is the all, and the all is within me, right? God is the all, and the all is within me. Existence is God, and I exist. Therefore, I am God. So this is a very interesting one. So people always ask me, do you think that you'll, not always, every now and then somebody asks me, do you think that you're a God? And I say no. Oh, but I thought you said that you're God. And I am. And so, and here's the difference. So I'm not claiming sovereignty over a certain spiritual domain. That's what makes a God normally, is that they have some sort of beyond myself, that is, right? But even myself, that would be my highest self who I am working toward, right? And so, but even me and he are one, right? So it gets pretty interesting. But the fact of the matter is, I am not claiming any exclusivity when I say I am God. I'm saying I am God in the same sense that I would say anybody here is God, that the tree is God, that the river is God, right? So I'm not claiming some sort of divine exclusivity to myself that demands some sort of worship. And that's fine if people do. Maybe they are that thing. But when I say that, I mean it in this way. Existence is God, and I exist. Therefore, I am God, right? One with it in that way. So then we have the Great Mother and the Great Devourer. All right. Now, this is just a little sample of what we're going to be going into next week. We're going to go really deep into wombs, When I say really deep, probably like 5 slides, but I'm going to be going really deep into it. And so we'll touch on it here. The Great Mother and the Great Devourer. The womb is the source of all things. I think we lost somebody. Oh, there we go. So the womb is, apologies, let me minimize that. The womb is the source of all things. It births existence itself. Now, when I say that, I just want to be clear. And by the way, this is a great debate in cosmology, philosophical circles, right? What came first, the chicken or the egg kind of thing. Existence has to come before the womb. Now, this is the reason why this is like, because so within science, when they talk about, they have this conversation all the time. What was before the Big Bang?
Oh yeah.
They talk about the state of nothing. Well, nothing, there was nothing. But then when you ask, what do you mean by nothing? They mean, well, it was something. But compared to us, we will define that as nothing. But again, it's still something. And they would say, within that something, somehow there was some development of time, space, and all these things. And I think we have an answer to this. I'm not going to go into the depth of it, but the question becomes, well, how did something come into being? Actually, we will go deep into it. I keep forgetting this is the philosophy of order class. I can go as deep as I want. So they would say the question would come, well, you said existence, then the womb, then the consciousness, then the abstract, then the most high initiated time. So how did these things happen sequentially? And I would say, well, they didn't necessarily. But this should not be a problem. Now, in our brains, it's a problem, but it shouldn't be a problem. The reason why it shouldn't be a problem because physics has already concluded that time is not only relative, but you live in a what they call a block time. And what's really happening is you think you're experiencing things one moment at a time, but everything has already happened. So, in that same sense, you can be in a place where you're able to experience things one at a time, but your future self already exists, just as your past self already exists. So, actually, what has changed was consciousness, right? So, consciousness enables you to experience the all one at a time. Windows. I don't want to go into consciousness. I can't wait to get there, but we'll go deeper into that. But it allows you to experience things one at a time. It also allows you to experience this thing that we call time. But outside consciousness is where time comes out of. Without consciousness, you cannot get time. Consciousness is more fundamental than time. So, in other words, you only think that it's a problem because you're a conscious entity and you must figure out some way to experience things. You experience things through time. But even when you lucid dream, you lose time and space. When I used to lucid dream, I tried to, uh, I was a kid, I'll tell you, go all the way back to when I was a kid. I was in church and somebody said that God is eternal. And I said, what is that? They said, that means God is outside of time. Now I'm probably about 7, 8 years old. And I just can't get this out of my mind. God's outside of time. That's so interesting. But then I'm watching, as I used to, about 10, now it's like later, I'm about 10 years old. I'm watching, these ages are around about, who knows exactly how old I was, but I'm watching, I was very young because I was watching, I think, Nat Geo. No, no, I was watching Science Channel. And when I was watching Science Channel, they said that time was space. And that really bothered me because I was told that God is outside of time, but that time is space. And I said, well, if God is out of time, God is outside of space, how does God move? This bothered me so much that I cried about it, right? Trying to think about it. I'm in my mom's steps, trying to figure this thing out. And my brain is just like, bro, we don't got it. And I get so frustrated, I start crying. And as years go on, I never forget this. I'm thinking about this for my whole life. And I start lucid dreaming. And when I lucid dream, I go to this place that has no time and has no space. But I don't understand how it doesn't have space and time because I'm in this lucid dream and I'm running down this field with no space and time, but it's infinite. It's non-ending. I can't reach the end of it. And so what I realize is that in order for something to be time, there needs to be a beginning and there needs to be an end. In order for something to be space, it needs to have a beginning and it needs to have an end. Okay. Does anybody know who Nick's iPhone is?
No.
They've been trying to
Nope.
get in.
I see Nikki.
Niggas in here though, right?
Yeah.
All right. I don't know who that is, but anyway, um, I found is that for time to be time, you need a beginning and you need an end. For a space to be a space, there needs to be a beginning of that space and an end to that space. Without a beginning or an end, you actually don't have time. You have eternity, which is outside of time.
Okay.
Instead of picturing it like this, being no time, you should picture it like that, where there is no limit on either direction. It can go on forever because there is no time. And a lot of people don't know. I don't travel a lot. If you start traveling from different places a lot with different time zones, you start realizing time is a very experiential. Is that a word?
Spiritual?
I'll take it.
Experiential? Is that a word? Experiential. I
I'll
don't think that's a
Familiar.
word. I think I
I know.
made that up.
Good. Let's add it to the dictionary.
Let's add it. Experiential, whatever it is. This experience that you're having of time is very much dependent on your experience because when you're going to these different areas, time begins to kind of it's especially you're going back. Like I was going back and forth from Alaska and Oklahoma, and you're traveling these different places, and you're like, this thing called time is getting very weird and funky. And I said it to say that what I've been saying, consciousness is very dependent on that. So anyway, going back to the point, time is all happening at once. So your consciousness gives you the ability to experience time sequentially. But even that experience of it is just one of many experiences of it. Outside of that experience, everything has already happened. Anyway, going back to this, the womb is the source of all things. It births existence itself, even its own opposites. So, I went off on a tangent there, so I gotta take us back. So now, remember I said existence is very rare in the sense that it doesn't have an opposition because opposition is literally nothing. Well, the Great Mother is very special in the sense that she will give birth to her opposition. She is the great womb. Um, all must come through her. And so when it says it births existence itself, it's giving birth to manifestations of existence, right? Even its own opposites are a part of existence. And because of the essence of what the womb is, it has to continuously give birth to whatever is coming through it. The Great Mother nurtures everything, including what would destroy that which nurtures. Okay? Very interesting. One of the incredible things about women and one of the saddest things about women. Like a woman might give birth to a child that abuses them and will still feel the need to nurture said abusive child. It's innate. Um, when they try not to, you know, people say, "Yo, just let man. He ain't your son. He crazy or your daughter crazy. Just let them be, man. Just let them." And the mom's like, "I can't." And even when she tries to cut them off, she'll sneak things to them like, "I'm just checking on you, wanting to see how you doing." Now, and I'm not saying fathers can't be there either. Fathers are nurturing as well. But what I'm saying is that like mother has a hard time that even a child that will take and not give, they will still say, well, I got to nurture that child, got to build that child up. Uh, Now, a good mother eventually will allow the child to be free and make their own decisions. If mother becomes too attached and doesn't let go, she actually morphs herself into a devouring mother. And it's very interesting. This goes into Carl Jung's archetypes. And women go through this all the time, normally with their last child, right? They get all these children to go out, but then they confuse something. They forget that mothers comes in stages. That what makes you a mother now might not make you a mother in the future. And so right now, what makes you a mother is taking care of kids. But in the future, being a mother might be letting go of your children, right? And so that's hard, especially when the last kid is going. Like this is my last child. Like I'm supposed to be letting them go. And so the mother will begin to, you don't gotta go anywhere. and stay here as long as you want. And that's the nicer side. Sometimes this becomes very toxic, and they
Very,
start setting
very,
up for
very.
failure. They start trying to make sure that they cannot live on without them, and they
Yeah.
try to see doubt in them. I've seen mothers do this firsthand. You go off. Very good friend of mine, mother told him, "You go off to college. Who gonna be here and help me take care of your brothers?"
Mm.
Right? And so that's when it changes. So now we're becoming a devourer. Now we are putting someone in a state of domestication, right? We talk about civilization in this way, in the home, and then we deplete them because we need them to be more dependent upon us so that we can that energy, so that we can build ourselves up from that. Um, so a lot of mothers do this, and it's not because they're evil. This is what I try to explain to people about spirits. It's not because they're evil. It's just a manifestation of a collection of attributes. For example, I used to think that tyrannical fathers were evil until I had a bunch of kids, and I got it. Right? The tyrannical father, right? His love turns toxic when dad has to deal with this thing. Dads want to really protect their children. They feel this super need their brains, right? I don't care if it's a dragon, an alligator. I'm going to fight that thing to the death to protect my children. So that's a very normal feeling. Now, sometimes this feeling grows beyond that. Like, I need to protect my child from absolutely everything. Child needs to be protected from every single thing. And where that thought process leads is, well, you know what? Why don't you just stay in the house all the time? Right? You
Right.
hear that story about that tower. Have you ever actually looked deeper into those stories where the princess is at the top of the tower? The one
No.
holding her there is not the dragon that guards it. It's normally the king, the tyrannical father, who does not want
Mm.
to let their daughter go. And so they put a dragon there to make sure that no one can ever get to their daughter. And that is the tyrannical father. He actually becomes the dragon. And in this way, he cannot. But guess what? We think that he's evil. It's not that he's evil. It is corrupted love. And as people say, that's why I don't like when people say that's not love. Well, unfortunately, love has a light side and love can have a dark side. When my dad in Camden, New Jersey, so I would have to visit him on the weekends. Some of the saddest times is when a kid would get killed. Because when a kid got killed, you could almost guarantee that another kid is going to get killed, right?
What?
Because the person whose kid got killed, if he is like that, if he's into that kind
Oh,
of thing, then he's going to go and search the equivalent of what you took from him, which is a child, right? That's dark. Dark side of love. We don't like to talk about this. Like, that's not love, but no, it's the other side of it is longing for his child. And he's like, you know what? I'm hurting so much. I'm going to make you feel what I feel because that's fair to me, right? And so that's the dark side. So there are dark sides to love. We don't like to talk about it. We want love only to be. We always want one thing. We always want things that experience is good to only be good. But there's two sides to it. And just as the loving father can turn into the tyrant, the only way that he can stop himself from becoming the tyrant, if he is that kind of man, to love in that way, is to recognize that it's in him. As soon
Mm.
as he rejects and says, "No, that's not in me," it's way easier to become the tyrant. And as soon as the mother says, "There's no way I would become like that. There's no way I would do that to my kid." Sometimes they're already doing it, right? But they don't believe that they could do it, so it's easier for that to happen to them. And so the great devourer, a tomb, child is not born in time. Then what developed them, what nurtured them, what grew them, expanded them, will kill them and suffocate them and trap them. Okay. And the same truth is for anything that is developing. Okay, the mother nurtures everything, including what would destroy that which nurtures. She embodies both creation and dissolution, birth, death, the cycle complete within the mother and devourer. So, super understand that is that I'm going to guess everybody here read the second book. Uh, so, second book is everybody's supposed to have read everything to be here, but second book, if y'all remember. So, oh, here we are. So the man says, "Where are you? I traveled across dreams, through dimensions, past the fabrics that make up our physical reality, have created miracles minds could not fathom, use conduits as transportation to take me to one of the realms of the abstract. Death, you shall pay for your deeds. You continuously take from the earth, and I shall grant the earth freedom from your reign and deliver its people to immortality. After I forcibly take her back from your cold, bare hands, she in which you stole must be returned." And from the dark shadows of the cave, made of stars, came a naked, beautiful brown and blue woman. She had no clothes on, and her hair sprouted like trees, her breasts round, and her pelvis a beautiful flower, her lips full, eyes round and wide, white clouds circling her body. She felt familiar but strange, nurturing yet scary. She approaches the man and says, "You seek death, yet you found me, and so you found life." And so this is super important when we're talking about the Great Mother, is that all manifestations of the Great Mother, Earth being one of them, Earth does not just create life, Earth does take life. You cannot have life without death. It is not a thing. One thing that you learn when you're raising animals, chickens and such, when you're breeding, is that you are inviting death when you invite life. It's just an unfortunate part of it. All my chickens will die one day. When my dog has puppies, I do have to accept that probably at least one is going to die, right? And eventually all of them will die. When I have a bunch of dogs, I know that from having pets my whole life, I'm very familiar with mortality. They are all going to die probably before me, right? And that is a part of inviting life, right? When you invite people into your life, you are also inviting their funerals. It's a sad reality. It's just a part of what it is. And so a lot of people are like, "I am looking for eternal life." Well, then you are looking for eternal death, right? Life and death are synonymous. And in fact, once you stop something from being able to die, well, that thing is already now dead. It's very interesting. And we have mythologies about this, like vampires. How ironic, something that is searching for immortality, that believes itself to be immortal, is the undead, is wearing a dead body, must take life from others in order to move, to animate itself. The great devourer is often represented as a vampire, as a parasitic force. So it's very interesting. True immortality is, and it's funny because there are a lot of us that go into this, and but is the spirit will continuously manifest in many different ways throughout all time and space. But the reason why we don't want to accept that is because we want our memories. We want our stuff. What is the good of coming back to life if I forgot everything? What is the good of coming back to life if I don't got my favorite sweater, right? My favorite TV show or whatever it is. We hold on to these things. And so what we mean by immortality is I want all of my memories. I want all of my stuff. I want all of my friends and family to be immortal too. But then it goes even further. I don't want things to change. I want it to be the same town, the same city. And really, these are just forms of unmanaged attachment, is what we mean by immortality. Because it's already true that you can't die. So, hold on. I asked him to message me. Apologies, y'all. I just want to clear up this.
Asked him if he was the Nick person. He said no.
Who is Nick?
I thought you said you saw Nick.
No, I did. I'm now,
Yeah.
now I'm wondering who is Nick.
He said it wasn't him.
There we go. All right, so he'll answer that, and then all right, and Nick, let's go all the way back. Oh wow, y'all typed a lot in this. That's awesome. All right, so I need to re-put my message that I put in a waiting room apparently. All right. Oh no, never mind. Whatever. We'll just continue. I don't know who Nick is. I think I'll just let the people in, and then they could tell me, and then I could just ask them. Let me let Nick in. That's joining. Nick's iPhone? Hey,
Yeah,
Nick's
so
iPhone.
next,
Hey, how are you doing? So you are welcome to be here, but this is for the people who want to be students of the philosophy of order. So these are the people who read the Films book, the first book, the second book, and World War Gods. Did you read those books?
I read World War Gods and other book. I forgot the name that quick. Sorry.
Which one?
I read two
Films,
of the
the first
books.
book?
I still have Fam. I read Fams and I read World of Gods. I have yet to read the first book and the second book.
Okay.
I'm looking for like a physical copy.
That's awesome. Look, so what I'm gonna actually do is you can go ahead and exit the meeting and just message me because everybody in here messaged me first and we spoke. I should have probably explained this in the group chat. And like come back in.
Okay, I'll do that. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. No, you're fine. Don't apologize. You're good. Thanks, brother. All right. So yeah, next one. See you there. All right. Boom. Okay, that's straightened out. Apologies, y'all. So she embodies both creation, dissolution, birth, and death, the cycle complete within the mother and devourer. Okay, so let's like logic, as some of you may or may not know. So I always like to break things down logically. Being or existence itself is the fundamental reality. Everything that exists is differentiation or expression of this single being. Being cannot be weak or limited because weakness proposes something outside being. All processes of creation and dissolution occur within being. Nothing stands beyond it. Therefore, all negation and opposition are part of the same total reality. Okay? One, sustaining existence equals power, weakness equals dependence. Being includes all that exists, nothing is outside it. Being depends on nothing beyond itself. It cannot be weak. Every entity event proposes or presupposes being, is prior to and change my words, constitutive of everything that appears. I don't know why it's adding things. And then arises as differentiations within being. All things, including apparent opposites, are internal of one continuous reality. Nothing lies outside being. All right. I don't have to go over that. So let's move forward into where you could find something similar, but they won't. These aren't the philosophy of order, but Taoism and the Tao akin to some of this. Brahman is very similar. One of my favorites is Spinoza's idea of God. Animism is by far my favorite when looking for similar things. So what I'm expressing here in the